Part 1. The Door to Nirvana. What if it's not where you think? Have you ever spent your whole life searching for peace, only to realize that peace was never lost? We chase it through money, love, success, even spirituality. But the more we chase, the farther it runs. And then someone whispers, there is a place beyond all suffering, Nirvana. A place with no anger, no fear, no sorrow. But here's the question that changes everything. What if Nirvana is not a place at all? What if it's not something you reach after death, but something you can touch right now, in this very breath? Buddha taught, Nirvana is not about going anywhere. It is about ending the fire of craving right here and now. Yet for centuries, people have turned it into a faraway heaven, a reward for the good, or an escape from pain. But the Buddha's wisdom was much simpler and far more radical. He said, when your mind stops fighting with life, when you stop clinging to what comes and goes, you are already home. Home, not as a place, but as a state of being, silent, clear, and unshakable. Today, let's walk together into this mystery. Let's question what we've been told about Nirvana. And perhaps by the end of this journey, you may not find Nirvana. You may realize you have never left it. Part 2. Nirvana is not a place. Buddha taught, Nirvana is not a world you travel to. It is the ending of every fire, the fire of craving, anger, and illusion. If heaven is somewhere you go after this life, then why do people who believe in heaven still suffer now? What if the greatest peace has nothing to do with where you are, but with how deeply you understand the nature of this very moment? Imagine an old man sitting by the window on a quiet, rainy afternoon. Outside, the rain keeps falling. The sky is gray, the wind is cold, yet his heart is calm, his eyes soft. He doesn't wish the rain would stop. He doesn't wish for sunshine or for time to move faster. He simply sits, present, awake, at ease. That stillness is Nirvana in this very breath. We often think Nirvana is far away, something only saints or monks can reach. But Buddha didn't describe a paradise waiting after death. He described a freedom that arises when the mind stops clinging to life and death altogether. When the thought appears, this is mine, or I am this, suffering is born. When the heart lets go, when it no longer calls anything me or mine, the fire slowly fades, and what remains is a peace that no storm can touch. Look around you, the sounds, the light, the people, even your thoughts, they come and go. But the awareness watching them is timeless. That awareness, untouched, clear, unshaken, is the doorway to Nirvana. So Nirvana is not a heaven you go to. It is a freedom you awaken to. It is here, when the mind is free from wanting, and the heart rests in its own quiet truth. Part 3. Nirvana is a state of non-attachment. Buddha taught, when one lives without harming oneself or others, this very world becomes heaven itself. So Nirvana is not a disappearance. It is not some cold emptiness where nothing exists. It is the warm silence that appears when the heart stops creating suffering. Look carefully. Most of our pain doesn't come from what happens, but from how tightly we hold on to it. We cling to success, to the image of who we think we should be, to what others owe us, to what life should have been. And every should becomes a chain. Non-attachment doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we care fully, but without fear of losing. When love is free from possession, it becomes pure compassion. When giving has no expectation, it becomes joy. When the mind lets life move as it will, it tastes a peace that does not depend on outcome. Imagine a mother whose grown children no longer need her. At first, her heart aches. The house feels empty. But one morning, she watches the sunlight fall across their old chairs. And instead of sadness, she feels gratitude. That gentle smile, that letting go, is the beginning of Nirvana. Nirvana is not somewhere you escape to. It is what remains when nothing owns your heart. When craving ends, suffering ends, that's Nirvana. Every breath is an invitation. Can you let this moment be exactly as it is? Can you stop demanding that life be different? Each time you do, the storm within settles a little more. The noise fades, and the mind stands clear, like a lake untouched by wind. That still lake, that unshaken clarity, is the heart of Nirvana. Not far away, not after death, but here, when you live with a mind that holds to nothing and a heart that harms no one. Part 4. The Misunderstanding About Nirvana. Buddha taught, people dream of heavens and perfect worlds, but Nirvana is not a dream to reach. It is the awakening from all dreams. For centuries, humans have built beautiful ideas of paradise, a place without pain, without loss, without death. It is comforting to imagine that peace is waiting for us somewhere else, after this long and restless life. But Buddha never promised a reward. He offered understanding. He said, Nirvana is not given to you. It is realized when ignorance ends. It's not a shelter you hide in. It's not an escape from the world. It's freedom from the illusions that make the world seem heavy. Imagine you are lost in a dream, standing in the middle of a terrible storm. The wind screams, the rain cuts your skin. You run and cry for safety. And then you wake up. The storm disappears, not because it stopped, but because it was never real. This is what awakening means. The suffering we feel is born from a dream. The dream of I, me, mine. When that dream ends, there is nothing to fight, nothing to fix, just a quiet clarity of seeing things as they are. Many people think Nirvana is losing everything, but in truth, it's losing only the illusion of control. When you stop chasing reward, peace stops running away. When you stop demanding life to protect you, you realize it never meant to hurt you. This is why Buddha said, Nirvana is not something you gain. It's what remains when nothing is clung to. So don't wait for a heaven beyond death. The real heaven opens the moment your mind wakes up from its own story. In that awakening, you find the deepest truth. The peace you were seeking was never missing. It was only covered by the storm of your thoughts. Part 5. The Path to Nirvana, Here and Now. Buddha taught, morality is the foundation, stillness the path, and wisdom the light. But what does that mean for us, living in a world of noise, deadlines, and endless wanting? The path to Nirvana is not hidden in the mountains. It begins right where you are, in the way you speak, breathe, and let go. Let's walk through it, step by step. Step 1. Mindful simplicity. Simplicity is not poverty. It is the art of knowing when enough is enough. Notice how often we consume food, news, possessions, even emotions. We try to fill a hunger that can't be filled. Mindful simplicity means to pause before you reach, to breathe before you react, to ask yourself, do I really need this, or am I trying to escape something inside? When we stop feeding endless desire, peace quietly returns, like a bird that lands when we stop chasing it. Step 2. Peaceful awareness. The Buddha compared anger to a fire. When it rises, it burns the one who holds it first. So when your heart starts to boil, don't fight it, just see it. Say silently, "This is fire. I will not feed it." In that moment of awareness, the fire loses its fuel, and what remains is a quiet strength, a peace that does not depend on anyone else. Each time you breathe with awareness, you are stepping closer to nirvana, not by moving, but by awakening. Step 3. The wisdom of letting go. Letting go is the hardest lesson because our mind loves control, even control over peace. Sometimes we even cling to the idea of enlightenment. I want to reach nirvana, but the wanting itself becomes the wall. Nirvana is not somewhere you reach. It's what's left when the reaching stops. When we release the grip on possessions, on opinions, even on our past, life begins to flow again. And in that flow, there is freedom. An everyday nirvana. Picture this. An old mother sits alone, holding a photo of her son who has been away for years. For so long, she carried pain, anger, blame, longing. One evening, she looks at the picture and smiles, not because she forgot, but because she forgave. In that gentle breath of forgiveness, her heart feels light. The world hasn't changed, but her suffering has vanished. That moment, silent, tender, free, is nirvana appearing in the middle of an ordinary day. So remember, simplicity brings stillness. Stillness gives birth to wisdom, and wisdom leads to freedom, here, now, in this breath. Nirvana is not the end of life. It's the beginning of truly living. Part 6. Nirvana and the immortality in the present moment. Buddha taught, one who keeps the mind peaceful, joyful, and untouched is already free without waiting for death. We often think freedom comes later, after we retire, after our children grow, after this life ends. But what if the real freedom begins the moment we stop postponing peace? Nirvana is not the end of the road. It is the quiet awareness in every step you take. Each breath taken without anger, each moment lived without greed, is a small doorway into the timeless. When the mind is calm, the world becomes transparent. Birth and death lose their meaning. It's like standing by a river. The water flows, carrying leaves, sunlight, and shadows. You don't try to stop it. You simply watch, awake, unafraid. That watcher, still, aware, eternal, is what never dies. Death ends the body, but it cannot touch the awareness that sees. When you live in that awareness, you are not waiting for heaven. You are breathing eternity now. So every time you forgive, every time you choose peace over anger, every time you let go instead of holding on, you touch the immortal. Nirvana is not somewhere beyond life. It is life when lived with a heart free from fear and a mind free from time. In this moment, if your heart is quiet, you are already home. Part 7. Nirvana in Everyday Life. Nirvana is not far away. It is not hidden in temples nor locked in scriptures. It breathes quietly in the middle of your ordinary days. When you wash a dish with a calm mind, when you walk without hurry, when you listen without judgment, you are already touching peace. Buddha taught, Nirvana is not belonging to any religion. It is the ending of suffering, born from a peaceful heart. So you don't have to seek perfection. You only have to see clearly. Every time you choose kindness over anger, patience over control, forgiveness over pride, you bring nirvana into the world. The truth is simple. Peace does not wait for heaven. It begins when the heart stops creating hell. Look around you. The morning light on your window, the sound of a bird, the warmth of your own breath. These are not small things. They are reminders that life, in its quiet simplicity, is already sacred. And when the storm in your mind calms, the world becomes silent, and that silence is nirvana. So let this silence be your prayer. Let this moment be your temple, and let your peaceful heart be the proof that nirvana was never far. It was waiting right here within you. Sound of a distant bell fades, then a pause, soft, spacious, still.